Hey, welcome to episode 1. Today, we're going to talk about one of the biggest misconceptions that we see time and time again with our founders and with our project leaders, and it relates to branding. So you might be a founder that's building your first brand from the ground up, or you're inside a company and you're leading a new project or a new initiative and it needs its own identity. Either way, you've kind of hit that moment where you're like, okay, I need branding. We're talking about logo, color scheme, typography, iconography, right? The whole vibe. It's something, the visual identity is something that makes the brand feel real. And we're able to show it to people, get feedback, and show, hey, this is what we're building. And I totally get it. Branding could feel like a first milestone, first finish line. However, here's what we've learned after years of doing this with clients. You don't start with the brand. You need the clear story first. So what that means, branding is the expression and the story is the root. The story is what everything else grows from. The story is what we come back to time and time over again to make branding decisions. So at our studio, for example, we work with a lot of organizations from startups to bigger brands. For a lot of our startup clients and our startup founders, they'll come to us with a big vision and a big idea of what they want to build. And a lot of times while they're asking for brand identity, what they're really actually needing is getting the brand story clear. And for that moment, because it's going to evolve always. So what is a brand story? The brand story, I'm not talking about your mission statement or your elevator pitch, but it's really the whole thing, the map. It's the through line that connects why you exist in the first place, right? What is the problem that you're challenging or solving for? Who are you here to service? Or who are you here for? And what makes your perspective different? And lastly, what are you hoping that the people that interact with your brand get out of it? What's the value that you're providing? And if you get this story right, it's really a great ground and a foundation for us to build the brand visuals upon. So let me tell you what happens when this story phase is skipped. Things always take longer. Designs feel disconnected. It feels more like an exploration Pinterest mood board experience than a clear design visual identity roadmap. And if you don't have your story down concrete and clear, a lot of times you start second guessing every little decision that you make through the process because there's no North Star. Because we don't have the story, so we can't come back to it when we get distracted or when we get we're daydreaming about other things. Like there's nothing for us to come back to that says, right, this is what we aligned on as the story for now. There are so many great ideas. We could take it, but for now, this is our goal. This is our aim with our story. What tactically happens is we see brand experiences and brand projects go from 3 months to 8 month spirals because the foundation isn't clear. That means the team that's working on it, the clients, you could keep pivoting, the vision keeps shifting, and that misalignment, it's going to cost time, energy, and money. If you have the money and the budget to continually change within the project, great. But most of the times, we're all working within the restrictions and guardrails of a budget and timeline. So what does this all mean? How do you know if you're really, really actually ready for branding? Here are some 3 questions that I would ask myself to see where I'm at with this. 1, what is the problem that I'm trying to solve? Are you able to articulate this clearly? 2, what's my unique point of view on this problem? And 3, how do I want people to feel when they interact with what I'm building? If your answers to these are clear and alive, you're probably ready. And if not, there's no shame. It just means that you still have to do a little bit more work in the story phase. And honestly, that's one of the best phases to be in. It's really crafting your story. It's hard work. You could definitely use AI tools or any other tools to help mirror back what you're thinking and hone it down and talk to people and see if they're understanding what the story that you're trying to tell. A lot of times, especially as founders, we get very protective over our story, right? Because it's so tied to your vision and your mission. But at the end of the day, if a lay person can't really understand and summarize your story back to you, and they're not having like an aha moment of like why what you're designing and building is something that's needed, it's going to be really, really hard to market that story no matter how pretty the brand is. So here's one thing that you can do today. Get a piece of paper. Or if you are a tablet girl or a guy, use your tablet, but get some pen on paper. So get a fresh doc, start writing out your story. It's not in the framework of for your investors or for an audience. It's just for you and it's just for your team. So start to get honest about, hey, what's broken or missing in the world today? Why do you care? And why are you the right person or the team to solve for this? Well, what is a solution that actually feels like it's the right thing for this moment in time? And how do you want people to feel when they're experiencing your brand? And just keep refining it. It's kind of like when we did essay drafts when you're younger. You have your first draft. It's going to have to go through a cycle of drafts. And that is the hard work. That is the part that isn't that fun. But the more you do it, you'll get to the most minimal, clear story and get it sharp. And you want to get that tested. So as you build your story, just remember that that's what gives your brand its depth. It's what gives it its soul. You're not doing branding to make something pretty or something that imitates another brand. And we could all feel it. As a consumer or as an audience, you could always feel the soul or the essence of a brand. And you could feel it if it's just a little bit surface level or it was another company that was imitating or copying a different company. You could feel it when the story feels authentic. You could feel that the story feels soulful. And that's what moves people. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, dang, maybe I jumped into branding a little too soon, it's okay. It's just a moment to reset and it's not a setback. You don't have to go to square one to figure it out. But I would say get to a point where you have your brand story, you have it written down, you're able to articulate it in a way that is easy for people to understand. And that means, hey, if your brand or if your problem that you're solving has a more complex learning curve, great. Be able to articulate it, the story in a way. You could use metaphors, right? We always say, hey, this is the Uber of this. It's a great mental note for people to be able to understand what you're solving for and what your company or your brand is trying to, how your company or your brand is trying to add value to the world. And you don't have to figure this out alone, right? We work with companies all the time to understand their brand story and delve deeper through workshops and good questioning. And it's the way to sharpen, stretch, and ground before you build your story. That's it for today. If something in this episode sparked a new thought or an idea, or if you have any questions or comments, let me know. Thanks for listening, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.